Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs. Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheel drags. That seems to have Mr. Herlock Sholmes' insignia on it. Methinks she stole it from him. Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So in the last episode, we took a last-minute defense against the dude who may or might have killed the guy inside an old British omnibus. So yeah, we're kind of trying to work out an actual guilty thing. We almost lost the trial actually because of the jury system, but we actually did manage to recover, and now we're in a position where we can actually maybe try and win the trial. And also there was a smoke bomb, some things happened. In any case, yeah, this is the last part of the trial, so we're gonna just get into it. But we should be nearing the end of this, so it should work out fine. But in any case, yeah. Let's get started with trial part 3, because this is just a long chapter, and the sooner we get started, the better. Because the chapters in this game are just really, really long. In any case, 18th of February, 12:52 p.m. The Old Bailey. Defendant's lobby. Defendant's antechamber. What on earth just happened in there? Mr. Naruhodo, I managed to find out what happened. Miss Susato. I was told it was an advanced form of smoke grenade. A type of exploding device that releases smoke. Yeah, smoke bomb. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of things ninja use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of about 15, I hear. A young girl? Then, could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilda was just talking about? My thoughts exactly. Alright, so he wasn't lying. So there was indeed another passenger. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilda, actually? There are so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions. Along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what is she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling me. What's that? The 20 pence. Hmm? Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo. Yeah, he charged 20 pence, but now we know that there's a discrepancy. He took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each. So he took one extra pence each, presumably, but now we know there was an extra passenger, so that can't be true. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. All right. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. Probably. I can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough, Miss Susato. Yes. All right. Alright, 18th of February, 1 p.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. So there's only the one courtroom in the Old Bailey. Not sure how that tracks with real life, but... Oh, there she is. Wait a minute. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGilda. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. She looks familiar. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilden. Now then, Lord Van Zykes. My lord. I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade of the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious! The army? What in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery. But she was caught. And now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such a pandemonium here in my courtroom? What does mean that this is deplorable behavior? Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilden? I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why is it that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that? 'Tis all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. She looks a bit familiar, though. I'm curious who she is. Very well, Mr. McGilden, give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this young woman is involved in the case. She looks a little bit like Nikolina Pavlova now that I'm thinking about it. She looks a lot like her. I'm curious as to how that, if that's a coincidence or not. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. Alright, in any case, witness testimony. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up in the first start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat in front across from me. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in the ball, hiding her wee self away. Alright, well that doesn't help. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather, on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? 'Tis exactly as the defense counsel says. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord. Alright, but who is this lady? Alright. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. And Lord Van Sykes is just unimpressed. Cross-examination. The young girl. Alright, we only have 3 tries at this, so if we screw this up, we're kind of screwed. Okay. So you were asleep. And when you first got to the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty, and there was no one on the roof deck either. So he was the first one. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye, and that's why I took the back seat aside like I did. 'Tis the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means. Just how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite the one in which the pearl gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like I said, this is the most comfortable and where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. And he hasn't... Okay. Then, begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up on the first start. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed? Well, now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone. But at the same moment, you did hear a scream. Ah, from the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before my eyes. There was a fellow collapsed on the floor at my feet.
Hold it!
You sat him up? The victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't like to leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? 'Tis common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Lord Van Sykes. Now, why would that be? You wait to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Any upstanding member of London society, that is. Yeah, we've already established that Lord Van Sykes does not like Mr. McGilda very much. Well, now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offered them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no! I wasn't always intending to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find out whys and therefores first. The whys and therefores, meaning he wanted to figure out why there was a dead guy in the cabin with him. Right, you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes. The scream he says he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find where the scream was coming from, and bless my soul what I'd find.
Hold it!
Alright. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well, now, 'tis a queer thing. It's a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up. It came from, if you'll excuse a vulgar expression, under me backside. Good gracious! Under your backside. And when I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Missioner Hoda, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. That would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's what I found her. Alright, so she was... There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away.
Hold it!
You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. 'Twas hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well... Me heart nearly stopped beating in me chest. You're really overacting this. Still in all, I pulled her out from under there. And sat her out on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, just next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find themselves in mortal danger. So, I need to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fellow's voice this time. Presumably, that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck at seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down through the skylight, he must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGilden. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason. Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage, out of sight. Alright. Well, that's all the information we can gather from that testimony. It is certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature. And readily confused, perhaps with this young girl. After that, of course, with the scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you. I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is this girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She is a chancer, earns her crust among larger clouds, relieving people in their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here? A petty thief? Alright, so Nina Lestrade, that's her name then. Order, order! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. Ah! Okay, and she just shot him in the face with a paintball gun, I think. How dare you? What is the meaning of this? Ah! The girl! She's gone! Open your eyes! I'm over here. Good gracious, how? What's with that point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Well, go on. That's what your reads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast. And she's kind of annoying. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need is what I do with these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Let me guess. You don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs. Oh, this? Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day, down where they keep the four-wheel drags. That seems to have Mr. Herlock Sholmes' insignia on it. Methinks she stole it from him. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Ah, do not wave that thing in my direction again. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question? Tis alright, lass. You can tell him the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. Alright, so he is Irish. That does confirm his accent. The Corp 6, this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, is a valid and significant witness in this case. Accordingly, young lady, we will now hear your testimony, if you please. Alright, let's hear what she has to say. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. Alright. Witness testimony. What the girl saw. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. But it was right a old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I tell you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then, after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out of my skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because of that, this swell fellow found me. He did help me get away, mind. So she didn't... Yes, he let you go. He didn't... So, she didn't see anything, but she did hear a whole bunch. I fail to understand why would you let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilden. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. Oh. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. Oh, I see. This is where I sat that night. And the cubby hole of what you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. Yeah, we've seen that. Yes. It does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah. So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your actions would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew it in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought, it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman. My lord. This fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for even doubting you, sir. Well. That is... With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Did we win? Saint's alive! So that's the last 2 jurors done. All 6 members of the jury consensual and they're leaning to a verdict of not guilty? Mr. Naruhodo, this, well, it must mean what? That we're victorious. No, because doesn't the prosecution get a right to that thing we did earlier as well? We've won? Are you sure?
Objection.
No. Okay. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray, do forgive the discourtesy. He's not happy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? Yeah, because the jurors just kind of changed their verdict on a dime, didn't they? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After this incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord. The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilden's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Well, that's strange and a little problematic. Order, order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the I don't know how to say any of these words. Constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Yep, it was indeed not empty. It had all the luggage in it. I remember that. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence... Wait, we can check that in the court record, can't we? Yeah, we can check this. We can oh, but there is indeed... I didn't even spot this second splot of blood. Let's open this. Also, I noticed the spot of blood. It was submitted as evidence, but now it's gone. That's blood, isn't it? Is something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain is so obvious, that's all. And yet, Van Sykes has made no mention of it. I suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? And then there's the blood stain from when he was... Okay, so now from this, we actually have a bit of a corroboration about the evidence. Doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Alright. Pray, what did you find the condition of the undersea compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You can tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by a desperate Lord Van Sykes. No. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on the matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat in the omnibus? No, it wasn't empty. I looked. So I did indeed look. I examined it thoroughly. It was indeed not empty, so... I really don't know if giving this an answer is helping my cause as a counsel for defense. But as far as I remember, at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? Ah, be weist. What are you saying now, you daft dog? I thought you were on my side here. What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. But it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting. Okay. 'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella. I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilden. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interest here, lad. Now then. A fellow's memory is a curious thing and not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That there cubbyhole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken? Someone clearly tampered with the evidence, though. Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. That compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guild's rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in the question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money-lending fleecer and pick-purse are lying. And we're back to its tipping again. Ah. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers, nothing but cowards in a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. Alright, well, we're back to having two guilty, 4 not guilty. Quite so. I must concur here. Well. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yes, but every time a different truth, it seems. Alright, well, at least we're back to the middle ground. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Time to figure out what's going on. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. Yeah, now it was leaning toward guilty the first time. Now it's leaning toward innocent the second. Then it leaning toward innocent the second time, and now it's back to normal. So yeah, this whole thing is a little bit wishy-washy, if you ask me. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. Alright, Mr. Vampire. He is a vampire. He is based on a vampire. That's entire thing. He's supposed to be Dracula. That is his entire thing. He's supposed to be Dracula. Well, what the girl saw. So I snuck inside the carriage before they hooked up the horses, just like always. Alright. So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point of spending a joy to make a few bob, eh? That's the rum idea, ain't it? I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief? Kindly refrain from entertaining your tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 in which the cabinet testified. And when the scapegrace ran for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment. Full of equipment for the coach, no? Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I always chunk all of that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all the stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. So you always reach the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. Alright. But it was right an old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. Alright. A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own and the God permitted at least some of the time. I beg your pardon, did you say God permit? Oh yeah, well, that's what my kind call it. You'd say the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away. That's it. Only that night. This cove was sat on me from the seat from the start. And he didn't budge the whole way, dude. Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. You mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while the events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushions you've been sat on and find it shallow now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. But then who is? I'm telling you, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Alright, so you couldn't see into the cabin at all. Not a joint. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look out the crack. Then I can have a butcher's out away who him got a fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So, but it's the time the passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out. I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in a clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Opson's choice. Why doesn't she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyway, I was a bit scared, but I had to just stick out there under there. Nothing else for it. Alright. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang. Nearly jumped down my skin I did, and the scream just came out.
Hold it!
When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling on the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily. That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the curtain and had a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the block at what had fallen off the floor of the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGillicud's account, of course. But then, the fella suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should have never rested looking. Alright. It's because of that this swell found me. He helped me did get away, mind. Okay. And when Mr. McGillicud discovered you, he pulled you out from under your hiding place? I was scared stiff, I was. He dragged me out and sat me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh, how awful. Both my hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog. Both her hands covered in blood. That must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. McGilder for a while. Is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what I was up to in that. Then I heard something from up above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck, one would assume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing my face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smarter and there was an Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they all are still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we could clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. And I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. I can't put my finger on it either. Well, let's go to my court record and try and figure this out. Alright. Alright, so what's... Yeah, I don't... There's gotta be something that I'm missing. I really don't know what I could be missing. I mean, this is the Phoenix Wright Omnibus, so that could help. I may need to look up a guide for this. Actually... Let's go inside and see if we can actually... Yeah, I didn't even notice this earlier. How did I miss this entirely? There's gotta be something I'm missing. Let's reanalyze our things again.
Hold it!
There's gotta be something I'm missing here. It's because of this the swell fellow found me helped me get away mind. I may need to look up a walkthrough for this. Because I'm stuck.
Well, no.
Oh! Okay, that's what it does. Now I've gotten him to react. Alright, so pursue. There we go. Is something wrong, Mr. McGilder? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? I'm just wondering if Mr. Lestrade's last comment made something occur to you, perhaps? You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh, no. 'Twas nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see. Yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm still scared of the dark now. Aye, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade? Did you hear something that night? Any unusual noise, perhaps? Nah, nothing really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. But jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world to me, foibles, you little scamp. What a pity. If only Mr. Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? It might be important. It's clearly important since obviously, Mr. McGilda reacted to it. So you know what? Let's see what happens. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important, but all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is a profoundly important point. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless. Alright. Miss Jelena Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. Alright, well that should help. Strain my ears to work out what I said, but all I could hear was snoring. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on a second. So you were strained to hear what was happening the entire time since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then, when I saw the swell getting on, I got me head down so he didn't notice me. And Mr. McGilda sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve, eh? What a mug. So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his big Sun Market. Snoring like an old dog, he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that, I wonder? Something doesn't add up. She heard a loud slam, right? Miss Lestrade, what you have just said told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. Ah. God, odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Sykes realized it too. Alright. Counsel? I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus at night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilda's snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Okay. She should have heard... Yeah, okay, so thinking about this... What does she have? People. A young woman who witnessed the incident from her hiding place aboard the omnibus the night of the murder. She was discovered by the defendant. Thrice fire. Okay, so think about this. She should have heard the murder, right? No, she should have heard the guy hit the floor. She should have heard Mr. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question. Oh, the sound very clearly explained the presence of a falling person. Okay, I'm going to actually... I mean, he was in the room. He was in the room, so... we don't have many opportunities to do this, so... I mean, the other person in there should have been Thrice Fired Mason, so... Let's present him.
Take that!
Thrice Fired Mason? Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear. Is that of the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus? Order, order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilden. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin for the omnibus at that time. Did I not just say that as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack in the seat under the cushion. Even if it was his own for sure. Okay. And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't I? Waiting for this spell to leave? In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Ah! We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Ah, that's a good point. Yes, this pay thief statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Zykes. Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. He was keeping silent then throughout the entire thing, so obviously he did knew. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And this girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. Uh-oh, Granny. Well. Ah, she didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she had some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. And neither can I. Mr. Foreman. I didn't want to judge the girl because she had some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. Alright, which means we have one person who is currently in the not guilty party. Ah. Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning toward guilty. Which means we need to prove some evidence to actually get the rest of this done. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To think to the considerable troubles you have spared me. Alright. Yes, very refreshing. Gah! Why are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern madman? This is carnage. It's perfect! Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruto, the way this is going, I know. If we can't find some new way to convince everyone that Mr. McGilded's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. I very much wanted to believe that the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen. But those of us in service must know that we must accept hard truths.
Hold it!
Alright. Before she can even do a thing. Yes, the witness's last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on the whole case. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel? I will not tolerate you attempting to prologue my education. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in her stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. So where the hell did he come from? If this pay thief's words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Well, actually, hold on. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. There was another entrance. We know there's another entrance. Because he could have fallen through the sky. Because there's a skylight. He could have gone through the skylight. If the door wasn't opened even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection.
I wondered what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows, which cannot possibly open. In short, there's no entrance to the cabin other than the door. Alright. But there could be. There's only one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which is allow the victim to appear inside the closed cabin. Alright. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location for the court. Here's the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance that you propose the victim enter through the cabin? Well, there's a skylight, so we're gonna present the skylight. The answer is obvious. It could only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight.
Objection.
It's pretty preposterous, I know, but it makes sense. Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However, the skylight may well will be large enough for some of the paths to do.
Objection.
So you claim, but do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brain theory? I mean, we can. Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade were said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat, having been assaulted with the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat onto the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witness has described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection.
You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be sure? Because if the victim had fallen through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Oh. Hi, Mr. McGilda. Do you have something you would like to say? Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilda? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sat on the roof testified before said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that is not so much a case of them not saying, but... Aye. 'Tis a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason to not mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps at the roof? You mean the ones who stuck that knife in the man were... Ah! Okay, that turned it around. Thank you, Mr. McGilden. Oh, and there they are. Just what exactly you were insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotter, he said. You rotter. What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said. And so will I. Okay, Mr. Fairplay. You're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and well-respected banker, and me, a very angry hatter, suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's, I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. Well, now it's time to actually do the investigation again. Order, order, order! This is not the time, witnesses. I will not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the answer chamber at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, my Lord Van Zykes. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend here sees fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You propose to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck on the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimidated their criminal guilt. In our British court of law, that is what is termed as a baseless accusation. I know it was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have seen the matter through now, one way or another. If there's a filth and rubbish in the mist, we must dispose of it at once. What's happening? The spectators in the public gallery they're in a complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First? My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony. In reference to the indictment brought by the fence. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. Alright. Well, where does this fall in the walkthrough? Okay. Okay, we've got a couple of things that we need to pursue. Okay. Fearing the accusation. We were the only two people who on that roof deck dead or alive. I can swear to that. If anything had happened where we were sitting, don't you think one or the other would have noticed? In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? I must say that, on the listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine. Alright. But we need to pursue how either witness could have performed any malevolent acts on this open rooftop deck, without the other noticing forthwith. That's right. You see? We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down that the two of you were in collusion with one another. What? Eh? According to investigations by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings. Ha! Well, I don't trust coppers any more than trust stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial is going in our favor, really. So why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense? Over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Alright. Oh, yes, my lord. Alright, let's push everything and just see what happens. Alright, reviewing the accusation. Alright, we were the only two people up on that roof deck. Okay. So, at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck? Absolutely not, Dickens. No question about it. He said none at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here. Is that true, Mr. McGilded? Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately. That's an outright lie. Without a doubt, you were engaged in... Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? At all? Okay. It is all about evidence in the courts these days, so it is. You do well to remember that. It's got a point. Yeah, I saw you with my own eyes. This is going so well. Alright. If anything had happened when we were sitting, don't you think one or the others would have noticed? Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus, so that's past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly. Is this some kind of lark? Is this some kind of joke he said? Is that what this is? Or perhaps one or the other of you fellows fell asleep briefly? I think. Are you fair dinkum, sir? Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you. I'd give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you never open them again. That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. I'm dreadfully sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with me fairies and I didn't hear you at all. That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising. Seeing things! Alright, they're all picking a fight with Mr. McGilded. It's kind of funny. I believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point. You! Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm a suspect in this case, then 'tis only fair that you and the other fiend are too. Open and free competition is what capitalist society is all about. This is a competition I shouldn't be involved in, really. In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. Alright. So, you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before? Oh, Lemmy, no. Not once. Never. He'd never met the man before, he said. Never. And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either? That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir. No, I imagine not. You see, how many different ways can I put this? Neither of us had the remotest connection to the Oh, he has a thing. Pursue?
Excuse me.
What are you saying? What do you have for me, Mr. McGilded? Mr. McGilded? Yes, counsel, what can I be doing for you? Did the witness's last statement give you pause for thought somehow? Not the remote disconnection. Is that right now? I wonder. What are you insinuating now? Ah, Mr. Fairplay. It has been too long, so it has. Eh? If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not, your repayment date? I beg your pardon. Hey, you borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir. At an uncontrollable rate of interest. You tricked me. It's extortion. Well, now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fellow to pass his crimes off on another? And you, young Mr. First? Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? That there top hat's lying about on your head. Is that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. Hey, the perfect fit, is it? Well, it is a very distinct design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. They like a distinctive touch. Customers. Such as Toys for Nation. Ah. There was a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence before, my lord. This you mean? I can't help thinking that the poor fellow's hat looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh. That's one of my hats. Hey, aye, that it is. So it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer, I'd wager, you could have had a weak quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods? Oh, no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. That's a plot thread. Well, now, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellows here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case. You little weasel. Arr. He's better at this than I am. Gosh, Mr. McGillen has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings. Hat hunter awarded. Oh. Skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. What can I possibly have opened it? Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time? I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute. He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said. Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's shut fast now, just like it was on that night. So it is, of course. A fellow the size of Mr. Mason could have likely break right through it still at all. What? Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand? Now you hold me there a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. That's all. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we? Let's stop biting our cane, shall we? I was riding on the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke the window. Broke wind loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens. This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First. Oh, I just mean to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see. But, just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone's looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as Roja, you did. Are you expecting me to sentence you? Oh, no, sir. The point is, the skylight can't be open. I tried and tried when I was inside the cabinet of shame. Oh, she's got a thing. Alright, let's pursue this. What do you got to say, little lady? Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade? Okay, let's see what she has to say about this. It opens. Huh? The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right? All them skylights open dead easy. More easily than you can load that weapon? That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from the inside, you mug. Oh. Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags. And I had a great I mean, I had purses coming out of my ears. Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. That's fair. Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't off the top of the bus and leg it. So what I did, I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch for them skylights is on the top side. That's why you can't open them from the cabin. I've seen that in the evidence, so I know she's telling the truth there. The skylight opens from the roof deck. Bailiff? Climb up on the roof of the omnibus at once and verify the witness's claims. Yep. Does indeed open. Ah! Oh, on my hat! See? Alright, so now it's open. Which means we can presumably investigate that as well. Order, order, order! So, it appears that the street girl's statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens. And from the roof deck. Mr. Naruhodo? This could be the clue we've been looking for. Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So, the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself. Hold on. If we go through... Is it open now? So the skylight was fastened shut before. But now the catch has been undone, we should be able to open it. Ah. Oh! Hello! I didn't see that before. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. Okay. That's not good for us. Alright, I'm gonna go inside and see if I can investigate that from down below. Well, let's open the door and go inside. Okay. I'm gonna need to get a good look at this. But it is clearly blood. Yes, it does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. Why someone like me? Ah! What is it? Look, just look. Look at it there. That's, without question, it's blood. Why would there be a blood stain there? Surely, it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? The details of the omnibus... There's bloods of the omnibus have been updated on the court record. Okay, now we've got what we need to actually do that. Now we got what we need to pursue this. Alright, presents. And now that the skylight's the information has been updated. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach. And immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug. Ah, you can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it, I tell you. It's impossible. Irrefutable proof. Here? In this courtroom? Counsel. Yeah, my lord. I believe everyone appreciated a little clarification here, Where exactly within the omnibus is the evidence to which you allude? Well? You will point out that what this proves the victim fell from the roof deck through the skylight. Okay, so we've got... Oh, but we've got to open the catch. Ah! That's been there the whole time. Okay. Yes, it does open very well. Okay. Okay. Alright, so we need to present this. Okay, but okay, I know what I'm doing. So, present. By Jupiter, is that blood? This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No. And that's evidence that we got. Order, order, order! But the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin. And only found its way to that one particular spot in the skylight? Sure. And that would have been very convenient. And let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But. There's no way to know for certain, is there? If they generally fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? There's a massive blood. 'Tis all too plain, if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fellow dropped from a fair height right there, so it is. What? No. But it can't be. It's all lies.
Hold it!
My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, yes, sir. It's clear to me now where the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they could pull the wool over our eyes, did they? I won't tolerate any of the guild's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I always knew that nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On three, then, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Objection!
Oh, and now it's Mr. Van Zyke's turn to interject. A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zykes? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight. Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? It's there for all to see. It's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. Alright, so what is he talking about? The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute certainty. There was such smear of blood existing in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. But, are you suggesting, Lord Van Sykes, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes, and while this court has been in session. What? That doesn't make any sort of sense. How? Hehe, what a palaver. I must say, I didn't expect such crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standard, Lord Van Sykes. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the capital as fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of the Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious nature. If he says so, you're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? Probably as he says. When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Tut tut, Lord Van Zykes. Tis will not do, to be sure. With it now, Consul. Oh, no. I think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But, if you will all cast your minds back, it is not true that the omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time. How could anyone possibly have smeared blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, Consul? It's true. The omnibus has been in full view the entire time that court has been in session. My learned friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter, in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during the trial? If you're asking me, I think... Well, there was that one time where there was a giant smoke bomb, so it could have been possible. That's the only thing that could have been. It could be possible because there was the time when the smoke cleared out. Meaning somebody could have easily tampered with it during that time. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. The truth. There's no evidence that suggests that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility. Oh? Good gracious. Explain yourself, Counsel. Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend here has no intention of running from the deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly. The recess that we were forced to take? As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stands, Miss Gina Lestrade. Okay, so someone could have easily tampered with the evidence in that time. Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. Okay. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. Okay. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was stirring in confusion. All of us were made to leave this chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. That's definitely... Okay. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, you rotten feckless gouger? Feckless? Gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. 'Tis a wicked plot. 'Tis a plot to undermine me, so it is.
Objection!
Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies, such as... To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment is full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight, which he said wasn't there. As I have stated, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord Van Sykes, no one is able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say, we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things. What do you think? Sorry? About the omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? I have an inkling. There could be something unusual. My lord? Yes, counsel? There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial. What? What in the devil's name are you going on to say now? If you dare betray me, you little maggot, you better start with watching your back.
Objection.
Silence, McGilden. The court awaits the defense's clarification. Grr. This trial keeps switching one way and then the other. I have no idea what the truth is and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have asked you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly is the alleged mark that you claim appeared at some point during the trial? Here. This didn't, because this was a fairly obvious stain, and obviously Van Sykes would have made notice of it as well, so...
Got it!
If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I can recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good lord! Okay, yes, I do believe you're correct, counsel. Okay. Alright, I do believe you're right, counsel. Okay. Time to continue onward. Well said. Although, as advocate for defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether that evidence is genuine, or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Alright. Time to see what this story is then. How does this thread play out then? Ah! And he's pissed. His trial is over. Mr. McGilden. I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it is all over now. But you're the defendant. It is over, I tell ye. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, 'tis all nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there, now. Ah, well. And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Sykes. Well, my lord? I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollection of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence. And in the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Lord Van Sykes, what is your position? The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed with my education. As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. Ooh, what formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilden will be found not guilty. Yes, which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now, with all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense? Your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord? The defense head believes... I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters here. Because obviously, one way or the other. I mean, the defendant is innocent, but there's obviously evidence to the contrary that he forged. It seems to have forged evidence, so I don't think we can really say he's innocent. So I think we're gonna say he's guilty. I am here in this courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGillet. However, at this moment in time, I cannot in all good conscience attest fully to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there is no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there is also no conclusive evidence to prove that he is innocent. Good. Good gracious me! Order, order! That's a good point. This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused innocent into question? Are you of sound mind? Oh, 'twas a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was a grand decision. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite such an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Ah. Your job here's done, fella. And some fine work you done, so you have. What do you mean? 'Tis just as the right honorable gentleman so succinctly put it afore. The trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it? Put it now, nothing more than formality? Alright. Wahahahaha. Okay. Well. This is... I really don't know what to make of all of this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. Going over the facts isn't going to help anymore. The stinking rich are always guilty of something mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park. We seem to be in a position where we can't do anything. Now that proceedings have unfolded this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. So did he do it or not? That's the interesting question. Because obviously there was some fabricated evidence in that, but the court can't really decide whether or not that's the case. Clearly something has gone screwy here, but nobody, because that bloodstain wasn't there before as well. So yeah, I think he did it, but I think he covered up his tracks so sufficiently enough that nobody is able to actually conclude otherwise. So there's no real conclusive evidence either way. I think he may have a... I don't know. I don't think we have any real way of actually proving whether or not. I hereby pronounce a verdict of this court.
Objection.
But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or there's a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zykes, my lord. The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. He's got a point there. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord.
Objection.
But wait! When we were evacuated from the court, Lord Van Zykes ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair. But did he... Okay, the culpability of the defendant has not, at the present time, been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. Okay. What? Well, Lord Van Zykes, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. Magnus McGilded. Good grief, you have more to say to me, have you? Just one thing. A warning. This is far from over. Alright. Well, something to be looking forward to, then. Wahahaha. Alright, so this guy did it. I think he... I don't know how to pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Well... Well, that was a very interesting trial. That was a happy ending, but, I don't feel good about that. That did not go at all like planned. I can't believe it. This is an outrage. They should have examined the evidence more. What are you talking about? The man's been cleared. He's innocent. And he got away with murder, and now, presumably thanks to Double Jeopardy, he can now get away with more murder if he absolutely wants to. Well, the courtroom in pandemonium for the second time that day. The judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty. Ostensibly a victory for us. Alright, which means we now need to go talk to his lordship. What is it called? What is his name called? The important dude. Whatever his name, I forget what his name is. 18th, the high judge. It's that guy. 18th February, 5:14 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. That was terrible. That certainly was a long trial. You're telling me? Ah, yes, it was. Your first ever trial on foreign soil and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. But our client may not be innocent? Actually? My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Miss Susato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. But no, because we know that something was screwy with that trial. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Oh. Hello, prick. Mr. McGilded. Ah, and that girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh? What stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks they'd be letting off when there's a verdict of not guilty. I'm sure yous may have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yes, definitely. I'd heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I've no you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. Wahahahaha. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did you walk out of there a free man, then? Oh, how did I walk out of there? Okay. I don't think it was so much a thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? I must say, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. Wahahaha. Ah, 'tis water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared. But nothing's resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? Aye. They've all seen that I didn't do that odious and obstinate deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellow of Scotland Yard can take matters into hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get to the truth. I have absolute faith in them, so I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. Wahahahaha. Okay. It's not that funny. So then. As we agreed, Efferhand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. Be wise, dear, humble people you are, You're from the East? Well, if you insist. Especially since we'll be in debt to him for a long time. But have this. Still is all. You'll deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus to be gilded? Uh-oh. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? Just sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not an inconvenience, sir. There are some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. They're going to examine it again? How? Now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of the London Society, I do believe doing me best to be where I can. 'Tis a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. That was suspicious as hell. And there he goes, a free man. That's suspicious. Hi! Oh, I forgot she was here too. Don't move. Whereas I want to say, get a move on, she really does take forever to load that good thing. Miss Lestrade, wouldn't you mind putting that thing down? You're a grown-up. Sorry. And I hate all grown-ups. Ah, there you are! Oh, hi! Who are you? Naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who is this little girl? And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ha. Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Grr. Excuse me, but who are you? Okay, so this, I'm assuming this lady is, this girl is affiliated with, go continue. Well, I'm the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. She has a couple of motifs similar to Herlock Sholmes. I'm wondering if they're connected. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, and more white. They haven't been shrouded in smoke, at least the pretty become color, I thought to myself. Do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though? At all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment while I was changing onto a different omnibus and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. What's it? What? I have no idea what this girl is talking about. Anyway, you're coming with me now. Back to my laboratory. What? What for? To apologize, of course, silly. To my technician? What? You mean, say sorry? You must mean say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then. Follow me. Fine. Have it your way. Oh, good. You see, I knew you'd want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that's what you want is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. Alright. We'll be leaving now then. Bye-bye. I'm so sorry for all the fuss. Alright, so I was right. That was interesting. So she invented that gun, but it has Herlock Sholmes' insignia on it, so I'm assuming they're connected. She was a lively one. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too? Yes, you're right, but... where to? Oh, we haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All our traveling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings. But this late in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we can spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilded Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through. If you say so. I'm not so sure about that. I think a midwinter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilda down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room. Or mansion. Yeah, but then we'd be indebted to him, and that's worse if the trial was anything to indicate by. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness of the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead. Just as the Reaper of the Bailey had warned. The case was far from over. Is that the end? Or no? Oh! Oh! Oh!
How did this happen?
I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed.
No
Uh-oh.
one's supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating.
Uh-oh.
No. Oh, good God. There's someone in there.
Who's in there, though?
This can't be.
So someone set the omnibus on fire inside the church, and there's somebody in there. Oof. End. That's how that chapter ends. Okay. The Realm of the Reaper awarded. Save my progress. Okay. That went swimmingly, I guess. Okay. Well, in any case, I think I'm going to leave this episode here then. So that went well. I don't think that's the best way to be putting that, but that went interestingly. So yeah, that trial didn't really go in our favor at all. So, long story short, our client may or may not have actually done it, but nobody is able to corroborate the truth. And then on top of that, the crime scene itself caught fire, and somebody was presumably inside. So there's clearly some sort of thing involving that investigation. That clearly that's going to be going to continue going forward. But I'm not entirely sure how I should feel about that case. That trial was very, very unusual and very interesting. So yeah, basically there was literally no conclusive evidence as to whether or not Magnus McGilda actually killed the man or not. So now we have no evidence. Now we're back at, basically he just got acquitted by the fact that nobody could prove otherwise. So yeah, that was problematic. But in any case, I think I'm going to leave this episode here, and we'll continue with that for next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter in the description below. I keep up to date with what's going on with the channel and a couple of other things. Just check that out. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon if you want to help support me. It's only a couple bucks a month. It does help me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks. I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. And finally, if you want to see more content from me, then there are actually two ways you can do that. One is by checking out my Twitch down in the description. I stream every Sunday, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. I also host a couple of different channels that I like. So if you guys want to either check my streams out or check out some of the people I think you are worth your time checking out, then by all means go check those out. Link is down in the description. And the other way you can actually check out content from me is by checking out the videos linked in the end screen. The top video is the most recent video. It may or may not be this one. Whereas the bottom video is a video recommended to you based on what you've already seen from me. So if you want to try something new or see more of what you like, then be sure to check both of those videos out. But regardless of whether or not you do any or all those things, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!